I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas cake or wedding cake slices the Sri Lankan way. For this recipe I'm using 175 grams of sultana, 125 grams of raisins, then 125 grams of glazed fruit, whatever the fruit you can use. I am using glazed pineapple. Then 150 grams of preserved ginger, 250 grams of preserved chow chow. You can buy this from Sri Lankan shop, either ginger or the chow chow. Then I have 125 grams of glazed cherries. You can use multicolored or the red cherries. Then 125 grams of mixed peel or candied peels, 150 grams of cashew nuts, 125 grams of butter, 6 eggs, but I am using 6 egg yolks and 3 egg whites, 1 tablespoon of golden syrup, 1 cup of semolina, and I grated 1 orange and got the rind, and 1 lemon rind. Then I have 1 cup of brown sugar. Then I am using vanilla and ginger, allspice and cinnamon, or you can use cardamom powder and cloves powder instead. Then I have brandy. I am going to use half a cup of brandy. These are the ingredients. Now first of all we have to mix the fruit before adding the other ingredients and marinate it and leave it overnight. So to do that, into a mixing bowl I am going to add all the fruits, but make sure that you have to cut the cashew nuts into fine pieces, and the chow chow and the ginger, and you can chop the cherries too, sultana and the raisins, and I'm going to chop the other fruit before I add in here. Into the fruit mix I already cut the fruit into tiny pieces. Now into that I'm going to add half a cup of brandy and going to leave this overnight to marinate at least 12 hours or 24 hours, and leave it to marinate, and I'll do the rest next day. After marinating the fruit I'm going to do the rest of the recipe. So into the mixing bowl I added 125 grams of butter, and into that going to add sugar. I'm going to mix this until it's nicely cream and fluffy. Now into the mixing bowl I'm going to add the lemon rind and the orange rind. When you do this recipe, there are 2 ways of doing this. You can do the egg whites separately in a separate bowl, and after mixing everything together can fold the egg whites in the cake mix, or I'm going to do a shortcut. First I'm going to do the egg whites in the mix, and after that I'm going to add the egg yolks, but I'm going to beat this until it comes to a soft peak. So I added 3 egg whites. Now I am going to add the egg yolks one by one. Into that I am going to add the vanilla, ginger powder, then the allspice or cloves or cardamom powder, and then some cinnamon, into that I am going to add almond extract. I am going to use 1 teaspoon almond extract. I think I forgot to tell you this in my ingredient list. So into that 1 teaspoon almond extract. And into that I am going to add the golden syrup. And then the semolina. I'm going to mix it. Now into the marinated fruit I'm going to add the mixed eggs and semolina. If you like, you can add the egg whites at this moment, or when you are doing egg whites separately, you have to wash the bowl completely, and it has to be clean. If not, it won't work well. And mix the ingredients together. When you are doing the baking tray, make sure that you add 4 layers of baking paper overlapping each other, and the edges too. This is 3-layer paper. So into that I am going to add the cake mix now and spread it all over. It's not hard to spread it like a normal cake. Just spread it evenly, and you have to bake this about 2.5 hours on 120 or 130. That depends on the oven too, and if you are using fan bake, it's 110. So I'm going to put this 120 about 2.5 hours. And make sure, if this is going to be brown a lot, use a foil to cover the tray. Don't make it too brown. So I'm going to put this in the oven now. I finished baking the Sri Lankan style Christmas cake. I'm going to take the papers out. Took it just now from the oven, so take a little bit of brandy into a dish or a bowl and use a brush to brush the tops with more brandy. It will absorb while it is hot and gives a nice flavor too into the cake. And after brushing the brandy on top, leave it to cool down a bit. And you can make, if you are using this as a Christmas cake, you can make this several months before, or if you are using this as a wedding cake, you have to make it 6 months before and leave it to mature. Then what you have to do is every week or two you have to brush it with a little bit of brandy to keep it moist. And I'm going to leave it like that to cool down, but I'm not going to cut it. But if you want, if you do it in a square tin, you can take it out and cut it into square pieces and wrap it in nice wrapping papers with or even you can put marzipan on top of, marzipan means the almond icing, on top of the cake, and cover it and cut it into nice pieces, wrap it, and make it nicer looking. And you can portion this. From this, at least you can do 50 slices of little cakes, and I'm going to leave this to mature several months. That's why I'm not going to cut it at this point. So I think you understood how to do a Sri Lankan style Christmas cake, and hope you will enjoy this recipe. and thank you for watching.